Hey y'all, welcome to Malika on the Move. I'm Malika if you're new here, and if you are returning, hey, I'm glad to have you back. So as you can see from the title of this video and from the thumbnail, we are going to get into a little controversial subject here, and that is landlords ripping you off for your security deposit. I'm going to be blunt, I'm going to be me. Hopefully I don't offend anybody. If I do, don't take it personal. It wasn't meant directly for you. But there's no sense in beating around the bush. We're going to get right into the nitty-gritty of this, and hopefully we can come up with maybe some solutions through the comment section of what people can do to protect themselves against shady landlords. So in this video, we're going to talk about what commonly is required for a security deposit, the nuances that are written in these leases, and I'm going to use my lease as an example. I'm going to tell you about some accounts from several friends that I know that have been screwed out of their security deposit here in Mexico, and also how all of that breaks down in terms of your actual real costs when you're renting, as well as maybe trying to figure out why all of this even happens and what we can do about it to protect ourselves. So are you ready? Let's get into it. Okay, I had to get my microphone because there's an echo in this house. So the common requirement, and this information is common knowledge for people that already live here, and a lot of people that are planning to move here already know this information as well, but just to reiterate for those who don't. The common requirement here for security deposits usually is equivalent to 2 months of rent. Now, there are cases where people have been able to negotiate with the landlord for just 1 month rent. And of course, there is the option to have what's called an aval. But commonly, most people that live here, that come here, will put down 2 months, equivalent to 2 months in a deposit. Okay, now in my lease, they talk about repairs. It says that the landlord is responsible for the major repairs, and I am responsible for the minor repairs. Now, most leases will say this. If it doesn't, I definitely would make sure it's included. But here's where it gets a little confusing, okay? So when it talks about the security deposit, it says the landlord will return the security deposit provided there are no outstanding amounts owed, except, and I returned the premises in the condition which it was received, except for normal wear and tear due to the good use to which they were subjected, i.e., that they are in good condition, okay? But if I go back to the previous paragraph, it's contradictory because it says, on the other hand, it is the tenant's obligation to carry out any and all minor repairs that the premises may require due to the natural wear and tear it may suffer from the good use. Okay, so let's unpack that. They're saying, basically, we're not going to hold you responsible for normal wear and tear. But then it's saying, but if there is some normal wear and tear from your daily use, you are responsible to carry out the minor repairs. That's where they get you, because what they consider to be normal wear and tear, they expect you to fix it. Normal wear and tear, like say, maybe there's some fingerprints on the walls that you can't wash off and it needs to be painted. Maybe a finish on something is a little worn because you use it all the time. Maybe because the water is hard here, it has caused a little water stains on a countertop or in a sink. You know, that would be normal wear and tear. It's not your fault that the water here is extremely hard and full of minerals and rocks and sand. But just from you using it every day, of course, it's going to wear on the sink or the counter. So are you responsible to fix that? And in light of that topic, let me tell you this. So one of my friends told me about the previous home that they lived in had in the kitchen, it was a black sink. And like I said, the water here is hard. There's a lot of minerals. There's a lot of sand that comes out of the faucets. That's why you have to soak them so often to keep them running smoothly. Otherwise, you're not going to have good water flow. Well, from the water being used, and you know, in a sink, it's never constantly dry. So around the drain area, this black sink had some mineral deposits or some wear from just the roughness of the water. And the landlord took the money out of their security deposit for that stain. Now, you would think, well, I can't control the water here in Merida. And it was the water quality that damaged the sink. Why am I being held responsible for this? But that's what they do. They will find every single little small thing, whether it's your fault or not, you're going to be responsible for it if that's what they want to do to you. Another friend just left Merida last month, and her landlord is keeping her deposit because he said the drain is slow. Now, when she moved in the place, there were issues with the toilet, the drains in the shower, and in the kitchen sink. He told her, well, this is a brand new apartment. I wouldn't have known that these drains were running slow or leaking until somebody moved in here. So he did try to remedy it, but it never was the way it was supposed to be. But when she moved out, he's holding her money because the drain is running slow. The drain was running slow when she moved in there. That was a problem that was already addressed. How does one person control a drain? What is there for her to do to fix this drain? What did he expect her to do? And the crazy part about it is she left, I guess, in the short notice, and she was not able to sell all of her belongings, and she had a lot of brand new things that were kind of pricey. She gave them to her landlord. You know, like, I'll leave you a television, a brand new set of expensive stainless steel cookware, and some other items that benefit him in the long run, but then he turns around and he screws her. So I met a lady here in Merida from, an expat, and she told me when we were hanging out one day, she says, I've been to your home. She said, I saw the video you made on your home. She said, I know the lady who lived there before you did. And I'm going to tell you, your landlord nickeled and dimed her out of every penny of her security deposit for petty little things. There was dust on the blinds. The ceiling fans weren't dusted. There was this wrong and that wrong. And that kind of opened my eyes, because from all of the blogs that I've read, a lot of people say that when they say, oh, I have a wonderful landlord, they're so nice, any problems that I have get addressed as soon as I mention them. They're just the most wonderful landlord, until you turn in your notice to let them know that you're going to be moving, even, in accordance with what your lease requires. And when it comes time to give you your deposit back, now they're a whole different person, okay? They're not the person you thought they were going to be. So I've been reading a blog of a community that I subscribe to on Facebook. There are people here in Merida. This young lady says, and I don't want to mention the community, nor do I want to mention her name. She said that a pipe busted in the walls, and she had to go and stay in a hotel for a week while they tore the walls out, fixed the pipe, and repaired it. When the landlord brought an itemized list to her for her security deposit, she charged her for the bedding that was ruined when the pipe busted in the wall. Now, how is that her fault? If she tried to clean it and say, for instance, it didn't come clean, it's not her fault. The pipe in your wall busted and ruined your bedding, but she expected her to pay for it. She said, she charged me for water delivery that I already paid. She charged me for a painting that I bought for her friend, from her friend, that I paid for months earlier. She charged for a cleaning lady, even though there's a cleaning lady full-time on duty already. She said she asked her to leave 2 weeks early, told her she would reimburse her for the remaining 2 weeks that she had already paid for, but she never did. She said she wouldn't pick up the phone, nickel and dimed her out of her whole deposit. Okay, so let me say this. If you are a landlord here in Merida, I understand that there are a lot of tenants that are not good tenants. They may not pay rent on time. They may be behind on water, electricity. They may not maintain your property correctly. They may leave it dirty. They may leave it with trash in it. They may just disappear in the middle of the lease. I understand. I'm not talking to you, okay? You have every right to take whatever measures that you feel you need to take to maintain the integrity of your property. I'm talking about the landlords where those of us that keep your properties in pristine condition, that pay our rent on time, probably early, and pay all of our bills on time. We've never been late. There's never been any shut-off notices or any issues with your property, and you want to nickel and dime us out of every penny so you don't have to give us our deposit back. Now, a lot of people will tell you that have been here a long time or just through word of mouth that it is common practice to not expect to get your deposit back here in Mexico. People will tell you they're just not going to give it to you. The landlords are going to find something to not have to give you your deposit back here in Mexico. That's an issue for me because to me, you're a thief. That deposit does not belong to the landlord. That deposit belongs to the tenant. The landlord is holding it as a guarantee that they will receive their property back in a good condition, but it does not automatically belong to them. There should not be an unwritten rule like, yeah, you're just not going to get your deposit back no matter what you do, no matter how much you clean the place, no matter how good you think you're keeping it, what good condition you're keeping it in, I'm not giving it back. That's just, we know this here in Mexico. This is what we do. That's not acceptable. So let's talk about how this breaks down in terms of costs, right? Or how you can look at this. So let's just say you rent a home or an apartment and it's 15,000 pesos to rent. You're going to put a 30,000 peso deposit down. Now the rent with today's exchange rate is about $896, which means you're going to put approximately a $1,700 or $1,800 deposit down, okay? That's a lot of money to just chalk up to a loss, all right? Divide that by 12, that equals $150 a month, roughly. So the $896 equivalent rent you're paying a month, if you don't get your deposit back after a year, you've actually really paid $1,045 a month because you can factor in that deposit as an additional rent payment, okay? Some people are renting 20,000 peso a month homes, 30,000 peso a month homes. You rent a 30,000 peso a month home, that's a 60,000 peso deposit. So that's like, oh, maybe almost $5,000. I don't do math, but yeah, that's a lot of money. And for them to say, oh, well, the windows were dirty. Come on now. And I think it's thievery that people pull this mess with you. And it's not just Merida. Because if you look at the blogs online, expat forums, this is something that occurs all over Mexico. I've seen people from Puerto Vallarta say, they had problems getting their security deposit back. So the landlords, like, yeah, we're going to get to it. We're going through, this with this, that, and the other, and then just disappear. And they can't get in touch with them. They won't respond. As I said, people will tell you it's common knowledge not to expect your deposit back. But once again, I will say that does not belong to you, landlords. That belongs to the tenant. It is not yours to just assume you're going to keep and not give it back. So why does it happen? Well, most of the time it happens because the landlords don't have it. They get your money in their hand and they go and spend it on whatever they need to spend it on, whether they're behind on bills, they're going on a vacation, they have to pay, something, get a car fixed, pay tuition for the kids for school. I don't know what they spend it on, but usually they spend it. They don't have it under the mattress. It's not behind the Picasso on the wall in a safe. It is not in the bank. They have spent your money. And a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, which means they only have enough money to pay their bills every month. They don't have enough money left over after their bills are paid to gather up 30,000 pesos to give you, or 60,000 pesos, or 20,000 pesos. They just don't have it. The laws in the U.S. versus Mexico are very different when it comes to what is required to do with the security deposit once it's received by the landlord. But let me tell you, my son just moved out of an apartment in Alabama. If you watch my previous video, I went to help him move. And we got everything out. I cleaned up really good, but he said he was going to go back the next day. What he did was he left by accident a U-Haul box, a cardboard box for moving. It wasn't even taped up. It had never been used. It was an extra box. So it was flat. He left the box there, and that was the only thing left in this apartment. He gets his statement of accounting from the property management company, and lo and behold, they charged him $75 to take that empty box to the trash can. So, yeah, they get you in the U.S. too. But here in Mexico, it's even worse, because in the U.S., if you think you're being unfairly cheated out of your security deposit, you can take your landlord, your property management company, whoever is over that property that you're renting, to small claims court. What can you do here? What is your legal resource or your recourse here in Mexico? I think the landlords know that. I think they know that the process for us to sue them, if we think they've taken money from us unfairly, is basically non-existent or extremely difficult, and most people just aren't going to try to go through that process, or expensive, right? What can we do, right? Now, I've seen on some of these forums, when they talk about the security deposits being taken from them and how unfairly it's been taken, that we should somehow develop a website where we can report these landlords for other people to see. Put the address down, like, hey, if you're trying to rent at this address, that landlord is shady. That landlord's not going to give you your deposit back. And kudos, shout out to the good landlords here in Mexico. I know there's plenty of them. It has to be. There has to be fair, honest, somebody with some morals here in Mexico. I know that there's some. I know that there's plenty of people that can say, I got my deposit back, no problem. I had a great landlord. I would recommend them to anybody. But by the same token, on the other hand, there's plenty landlords here that are just shady as hell. And it needs to stop because it's not fair to us. We're already being gringoed on the rental prices for these homes. We come here without taking anything from this economy. We don't take anything from the Mexican citizens. If anything, we are injecting money into your economy. We try to shop local. We try to be fair and purchase things that are going to benefit some of the small local businesses as opposed to going to big stores like Walmart. You know, if you have to go, you have to go. But many of us try to be responsible migrants, okay? We try to help as much as we can, even though we know we're getting gringoed on a price for a service, like say yard work or housekeeping, we still may turn around and tip these people because we know, you know, you did a good job. You didn't really charge me a whole lot compared to US prices, even though I know you overcharged me anyway. But a lot of us will still give tips. So I don't think it's fair that we're treated like this. And there definitely needs to be something done about this because, for instance, me, I take very good care of this home. I have just recently had some landscape work done and put in some things that weren't here, you know, to improve the yard. And like I said, I know I'm not going to get reimbursed for that. That's fine, but it doesn't improve the house. I pay my rent at least a week and a half early, sometimes 2 weeks early, and my bills are always paid on time. The day I get them, that's the day I pay them. I don't feel that my $2,000 security deposit should not be given back to me. Let's hope we don't have that issue because I got a mouth on me. I'm going to call you everything but a child of God, okay? I'm letting you know that right now. You're going to get a nasty email. So I just want you to be aware. Let me know in the comment section if, one, you've been screwed out of your security deposit and what were their reasons? And two, what do you think that we can do about this as, you know, foreigners here in Mexico about landlords just keeping our deposits for no good reason? And once again, I will say that landlords, I agree with you if a tenant has ruined your property, if they're not clean and they didn't leave the property in good condition and you have to spend a lot of money to get that property in better condition in order to be able to rent it again, because not everybody is clean. Not everybody is the best housekeeper. Some people just don't care, you know, because it's not theirs. And I don't think that's right either. But for those of us that are good tenants, I don't think that we should be screwed out of our money. That means you're a thief, basically. You're robbing us. And that ain't right. So, till we meet again, guys, keep moving.